Alright, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub again. I'm your host, Dr. JOTA, and today, again, Monday, we will be talking about Kylian Mbappe, of course. And maybe some of y'all are saying, why is this guy every single day talking about Kylian Mbappe in Real Madrid? I mean, the reason for that is because, number one, I know that you all guys are really interested and excited about every single thing surrounding Real Madrid and Kylian Mbappe. That's number one. And number two, because every single day we have reasons enough to keep talking about news of Kylian Mbappe, because more stuff is coming out every single day. So I have the kind of obligation to share with you all guys, because it's very important and I don't want to miss every single thing or any single thing regarding to Kylian Mbappe. But this is not about today. It is also what happened 2 nights ago, right after the game between France and Kazakhstan, when Mbappe scored 4 goals. And right after the game, he came out to the press conference and he was talking about his future a little bit. And in my opinion, he hinted something very related to Real Madrid, and something that I'm pretty sure will happy y'all, just because it is very obvious that he's trying to say something that he doesn't or he can say right now. But I will take care of that later on. Before to get started, before to go with Kylian Mbappe and all the things, all the news regarding to the French player, let me give you all a couple updates today, because the most important today, according to Diario AS, is Real Madrid has already contacted to the player, to the agent of the player, Kessie. Kessie, as you know, is one of the most important midfielders in Milan, and apparently he had to renew his contract with Milan, but apparently he doesn't want to renew the contract, and Milan is apparently about to surrender and say, okay, do whatever you want. If you want to get out of the squad, we're okay with that. So if you want to find another way, if you want to play in another team or whatever, I mean, do it, okay? So now apparently Real Madrid is getting closer to the player and might be in close contact to the agent for the next summer to see if his expectations, Real Madrid's expectations, and if we can put everything together so we can get a deal with the player, if everything works out for everybody, and then find a deal or something like that. Let me tell you something, for Real Madrid it's not easy, because we have a bunch of players in our wish list. We have a bunch of players that are in the last year contract, and they might be or potentially can become Real Madrid players. I'm talking about Antonio Rudiger, I'm talking about Paul Pogba, I'm talking about Kessie, and also Tchouaméni, which is not for free, or that wouldn't be for free, but is of course another apparently target of Real Madrid. So when it comes to Kessie, I'm okay with that. I mean, I accept Real Madrid is probably doing some moves trying to land the player. It doesn't mean though he's going to play for Real Madrid. It is just another name on the list. You know what I'm saying? So it is probably true Real Madrid has already contacted to his agent. What is not true though is that he already has a contract, or well, not a contract, even an agreement or a deal or something like that, or pre-agreement or whatever you want to call it. I mean, nothing to do with that. Real Madrid has contacted to his agent, but we still have to wait, because we don't really know what is going to happen. If this player is coming into Real Madrid for the next season, then we will have to talk to Carlo Ancelotti to know his thoughts about the next season, the plans and all the stuff. So for now, the only thing I can tell you guys is that Real Madrid is in close contact to his agent, but still don't know what is going to happen. So let me move on and let's talk about the next news, the next story, which is very important, because apparently in England they are claiming Chelsea might be very interested in signing Chesea Militao, which is one of the most important players for Real Madrid this season, just because he replaced really good to Rafa Varane. When Rafa Varane was gone, he was going to be the replacement, and he has become one of the, arguably the best players, one of the favorite players of Carlo Ancelotti. He's doing a great job, he's doing a fantastic job. So right now there's no any other name in the mind of Los Madridistas better than Militao for that position, right? Well, when a player like this, when a player like Militao is starting to take off, there are a bunch of teams out there willing to pay a lot of money for signing them, right? But the thing is, in this case, Chelsea is willing to pay about 50 million euros to sign the player for the next year. Problem is, Real Madrid is not willing to sell the player for less than 80 million. Number one, and number two, we are not actually willing to sell the player at all. And why is that? Because Militao is today in my opinion, is an indisputable player. There's nobody, there's no way for us, for Los Madridistas, to think Militao would leave Real Madrid this season just because this is his first great season in Real Madrid. He's doing a fantastic job, and there's no way we can think he will leave Real Madrid by the end of the season for going out to Chelsea and try to start all over again. This is not easy for any single player. You have to keep in mind, Militao, before to reach this situation, before to perform or be able to perform as well as he's doing now, 2 years has to pass for him to show everybody he deserves to be in the defense of Real Madrid. He had had to wait for about 2 years, I think 2 seasons. So it's not easy for a player to start all over again. And now that you are succeeding in Real Madrid, there's no point in thinking that Real Madrid will get rid of you just because you want to go out and play for another team, which is, in my opinion, not better than Real Madrid. Where else do you want to play in if you are already playing for Real Madrid and you are playing and fighting for every single title and the best titles and the highest competitions you can ever play? You know what I'm saying? So there's no point in thinking that. So I don't think at all Real Madrid is willing to even negotiate or think about the idea of selling this kind of player. It is like if you tell me Real Madrid is thinking in maybe or considering to sell Vinicius Jr. or even Karim Benzema, I would say no way, right? So that is what I would say, and it's the same thing to Militao to me. Militao is so important that nobody in Real Madrid is thinking right now or even considering the idea for him to leave Real Madrid next season. So if so, Real Madrid would pay about 80 million or even 100 million, but even with that, I don't think the guy or even Real Madrid are thinking about the possibility to sit down with Chelsea and negotiate and try to sell the player or something like that. That is not going to happen. So that said, let me move on and keep talking about something really important as well, which is the news that I have for y'all for yesterday, Sunday, regarding to Kylian Mbappe, and today. So right after the game against Kazakhstan, where Kylian Mbappe scored, as you know, 4 goals, he was the best player by far in that game. He performed incredibly good alongside Karim Benzema. He came to the microphones and he was asked about his future, and he said, I've already talked about that and I don't want to repeat it again, but great things are to come, great things are going to happen soon. So what is my thought about that? What is my thought on this statement from Kylian Mbappe? Okay, number one, he doesn't want to be anymore so bold, so straight as he was last time in Radio Monte Carlo, when he said pretty much everything. He was talking about pretty much everything. He was mentioning Real Madrid and his transfer and his possible signing for Real Madrid and all the stuff. He doesn't want to be as straight as he was, just because he doesn't want any trouble again. And I'm assuming Real Madrid has already made a call to him and say, hey, Kylian, relax, just calm down, just keep the things cool with PSG, because it is not good neither for you nor for us to have you on TV and different shows and stuff talking about the possibility for you to leave Paris Saint-Germain. It is not good for anybody. It is actually bad. So the best thing you can do is to shut your mouth down and say, okay, I'm not going to talk about this. But of course, at the same time, I'm assuming Kylian Mbappe doesn't want to lie anybody, and he really wants to hint something just so the people know what is going to happen. And actually, we already know what is going to happen, but I mean, he's in between something, you know, he's like in the middle of everything, where he doesn't want to offend anybody and he doesn't want to cheer up and say, hey, yeah, I'm going to play for Real Madrid, you know, because it's not good, because he might be offending to this other side, you know, to Paris Saint-Germain and Paris Saint-Germain fans and all this stuff, right? So that is number one. And number two is even worse, because his hairdresser today, he uploaded a picture of Kylian Mbappe because he went for a haircut, and then once he was done and all the stuff, he tagged to Real Madrid the haircutter, I mean the hairdresser, the barber, or the groomer, or whatever you want to call it. He tagged Real Madrid in that post in Instagram, so everybody went crazy when they saw it, just because he was tagging to Real Madrid. And what is the reason why are you, being the hairdresser of Kylian Mbappe, might be tagging to Real Madrid? Why would you do that? I mean, the only reason for that is because you know he will probably play for Real Madrid next year, right? So that's why everybody went crazy, because now we have more and more and more proofs that he will play for Real Madrid. And every time these kind of things happen, man, everybody goes crazy, just because we are looking forward to see the ultimate gesture, the ultimate signal, the ultimate thing from Kylian Mbappe for us to know that he will play for Real Madrid. And to me, this is done, man. There shouldn't be any, you know, beef or even discussion. I mean, there's no point in keep discussing whether Mbappe will play for Real Madrid or will remain in PSG, because it's clearly something, I mean, it's clearly a done deal. Real Madrid will play for, Mbappe will play for Real Madrid. Problem is, we are still in the middle of the season, and there's no point in a player who is fighting for every single title to go out and say, yeah, I'm going to play for Real Madrid. That is not going to happen, and we have to assume that Mbappe and Real Madrid have to be very moderate and very restrained and all this stuff, because otherwise PSG is gonna blast us. I mean, both of us, to him and of course to us. And not only that, I mean, the fans of PSG will kill Kylian Mbappe if he says something like that. Even just hinting something, it is not good. So imagine if he goes out and speaks like straight 100%, you know. I mean, there's no point on that. So there's no discussion, there's no beef, there's no argument, there's nothing. I mean, to me, Kylian Mbappe will play for Real Madrid, but we still have to be very moderate and keep waiting for it. So the last signal, the last example is this thing that the hairdresser did today when he uploaded the picture of Kylian Mbappe after the haircut. So let's see what happens, guys, but this is getting closer and there's nothing they can do about that. And now what you guys can do is thumbs up if